You know, they're selling y'all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I back. Trust me, I back.
But I'm not impressed by your performance.
You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you'll do nothing.
I'll tell you what, bro. You know, I was out there, I was fighting all the hitters, bro. You ain't fought no hitters.
Come on, guys. It's normal.
I'm not saying I would fight you. I would kill you.
John, do you think I'm just gonna sit there and let you kill me, John? I mean, really?
No, don't be scared, homie.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
I am gonna beat you into the living death. I mean, maybe that's your job, but where I come from, you know, people like that get slapped.
That's fucking illegal.
Nick Diaz, you just shook up the world. How's that feel?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Yeah, this is a simulated death match. And you haven't simulated anybody's death yet.
I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
What is the game plan going in against him?
The game plan is you go in there, hit him with some good shit, don't get hit, and come home with a pocket full of cash.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna drink a Coors Light. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing.
Do you want to be a fighter? That is my question.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up? MCR family, another immediate reaction show for some good action, some good fight this morning, weekend, night, wherever you are in the world. Obviously, the World Boxing Super Series, first season, so to speak, its last and final fight, George Groves versus Callum Smith, was today in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And Callum Smith winning by vicious knockout in the mid-round. Fantastic performance by him. I cannot wait to chop up, obviously, and dissect that fight, break it down, call in. If you want to do the same, talk about the fight, talk about what's next with both guys, 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. If you are international, if you are in the UK, email me, mixedcombatradio@gmail.com. Email is right there below in bottom left hand of the screen. If you want to get a free international permanent call-in link for this show. Otherwise, hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. If you're on Patreon, patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio, help support the show. Podcast form, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, etc. Get all that housekeeping out of the way. We have a fantastic fight to talk about. And I'm not going to say it's fantastic in terms of fight of the year contender. It's not that. But it was interesting. It was intriguing to watch almost every second of that. The suspense was there from early on, because we can tell that the power from Callum Smith was real. It obviously hurt George Groves multiple times in the fight. And is it just a case of Callum Smith being too big and too strong for Groves, as a Johnny in the chat says? Or did he have a good game plan, good technique, methodical approach to the game that actually led to this KO? That as well. But like I said, let's chop it up. Let's get into it again. Call in 323-870-4051 to give your immediate reaction on this World Boxing Super Series final fight in the super middleweight tournament. That's definitely produced some good action so far. It may not be what the cruiserweight tournament was, but this tournament has been good nonetheless. Shout out to Rob Gaudia, Johnny, Steven, Bayside Boxing, Stewie, motherfucking Griffin, Main Event Mark, and Wabisky in the chat. Let's go. And let's start talking about the fight, because obviously that's what you're here for. That's what you're listening about. George Groves versus Callum Smith. It was a fight that from very early on, you could tell that Callum Smith's power was present. It was going to be a contributing factor to how this fight was going to play out. And George Groves was trying to adapt to it, was trying to figure out ways around the right hand. And Callum Smith, just to his credit, even though the shot that really hurt George Groves at the end was a left hook, and then the follow-up flurry from him, it was obviously the right hand from Callum Smith over and over again that was the determining factor in this fight. It made George Groves fight from basic instinct very early on in the matchup. Callum Smith figured out that, look, George Groves, while being a phenomenal boxer at times, does make massive mistakes. He is defensively flawed. He has holes in his guard that you can exploit. Guys have, whether it's Badou Jack, Carl Froch, people have exploited that. If you look at all of his tape, you can see that right hand is crucial to that. The way George Groves leaves his hand down, whether he's throwing the jab, whatever it may be, he just doesn't put the hand up to guard him unless he is hurt. So when you have the 6'3" and what was it, 6+ inch reach advantage over the smaller George Groves, you're able to land that right hand before George Groves can really land his offense. So whenever George Groves would double up on the jab and then throw the right hand, trying to follow up with it, Callum Smith was out of range for most of those shots and was able to land his own shot, which was the right hand. So Callum Smith just figured out, I'm going to walk down George Groves over and over again. I'm not going to throw at high volume. I'm going to reserve my cardio, reserve my output, because I know I can just hurt him with this right hand. And every time George Groves will overextend himself at times, throw a little bit too much in the combination, not pivot and reposition himself, Callum Smith just would crack him with that right hand over and over again. And yeah, there was rounds that George Groves could have won. Scorecards could probably be all over the place. But that was evident that even with George Groves maybe outworking Callum Smith in rounds, winning on rounds based off his jab, based off his output and volume, you could tell that he was trying to play catch-up. He was trying to do something to adapt to what Callum Smith was presenting to him. And he never really did. There was moments where there was a potential for momentum shifts in this fight. Callum Smith did eat a lot of body shots that, however, didn't really have the lasting effect I think George Groves wanted because Callum Smith had the right game plan. I'm not going to throw that much. I'm not going to throw in combination. I'm going to be reserved. I'm going to make you work way more than I am. Even though I'm the one walking forward, you're the one exerting all this energy. I am not. Even though you're landing these really good body shots, you're still working 10 times more than me. So the body shots, while are effective, you are doing yourself a disservice to those body shots by moving as much as you are, trying to have that herky-jerky style that we know sort of the older George Groves to have. He was less poised here purely due to the power of Callum Smith. And again, I shouldn't say purely because, again, his technique was sound, fundamental, but we always knew that. Callum Smith has always been a fundamentally sound boxer while not being the most risk-adverse or the most orthodox or most athletic, but he's fundamental. That whole family is. That's one thing we can give them is that they have fundamental technique always. So the right hand was crisp. The left hook that actually hurt George Groves, I believe in the 7th round, was a shot that was clean, and baseline boxing, Froch ruined Groves' chin. I think some guys are just chinny. Like, some guys can just be able to get touched. And let's also look at who George Groves has lost to. Like, some of those top guys, a la Froch, Badou Jack, Callum Smith, all those guys have power and have been known to have power. So is George Groves ruined by Carl Froch? No, I don't think so. I think he is just at a certain level. And those really top-notch guys, when they have that power, the durability, the technique, he just can't beat that. He doesn't have the right concoction of skill, technique, tools in his toolbox to really adapt to that, in my opinion. He a little bit of a Mir Khan factor here in a way. But definitely, I think, just props to Callum Smith. Amazing performance. Again, call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. If we have no callers, I'm going to sort of wrap up my thoughts on this fight and head out of here as an early show today because we do have a lot more fights tonight and tomorrow. Then we'll do more immediate reaction shows, live fight chats, etc. George Groves, like Fat Apple said, totally agree with Matt. He's at that level. He's at that number 4 level. Some guys aren't the number 1 guy in the world. Sometimes they're number 4, number 6, number 7, number 11, And I think George Groves definitely still has potential to be top 5 in this division. He probably still is, let's be honest. I mean, other than David Benavidez, Gilberto Ramirez, and obviously now Callum Smith, who do you really think beats George Groves here at 168? I think you throw him in a rematch with James DeGale. Who wins that one? I think George Groves does. Hell, even, maybe a little bit of a fantasy matchup, but a Triple G moving up. I think George Groves does pretty well against Triple G at this point in time in 2018, 2019. So I think Groves is fine. I think he should continue to fight. I don't think he's ruined, but I think we just know the level he's at. He's the top 4 guy in the division, top 5 guy in the division, and that's it. He will never be the number 1 guy, even though we called him that. He's just not that. And that is completely fine. I think guys have made million-dollar careers, multi-million-dollar careers of being perennial top 5 in their division. Danny Garcia is about to do it at welterweight, and he will be just fine. Okay? Santiago has called in, so we're going to head out to Santiago, even though he hasn't pressed 1, because I'm just assuming Santiago wants to talk. Santiago, please tell me you want to talk. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Just here in Vegas.
How's Vegas,
enjoying myself and just finished. It's good. The drive sucked. The lines was even worse, but at least I had the zone to watch Smith versus Groves, so that was the best part of it.
What were your thoughts on the fight, man? I was engrossed by it, to be honest. I thought it was very suspenseful.
Yeah, you could still see that in this fight, Groves is the one entering with the experience compared to Callum Smith, but I felt personally that as the fight was progressing, you could start seeing the wear and tear start to show in Groves, and the spots that Callum was able to counter him were significant, and some he let go, but when he finally had him in that 7th round, he did not stop. He worked that body, he came up the middle, hurt him with that body shot to put him down, and just added insult to injury with one final combination of the head to become the WBA and ring super middleweight champion. So kudos to him. I think the future's bright for him.
Don't forget the WBC diamond belt. Get hyped, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Right? Wasn't the diamond belt? Wasn't the diamond belt? I'm not wrong about that, right?
Yes, it's called the WBC Diamond Belt. That's what he brought into the fight.
Very quickly, though, because Fat Apple's in the chat making a good point, saying shout out to Eric Skoglund, who obviously Callum Smith beat on the way to this, who went into a coma. He was actually tweeting during the fight. He's doing pretty good, actually. Talking about how surreal it was to be in his position and watching these two guys fight. But just shout out to Eric Skoglund. I always want to, mention a guy like that who went through what he did and is currently recovering. Now, Santiago, I am of the mindset that Callum Smith, even though he had this fantastic win, should not be at 168 pounds. I think he is too massive for this division. He looked still, in my opinion, gaunt and sickly in the ring. He looked weight drained the day after the weigh-in. What are your thoughts on that? Do you echo that? Do you disagree with it? Or do you like to see him sort of defend his belt first and then move up? What's your mindset on what weight class Callum Smith should land at?
I think he'll eventually settle at light heavy. I think he's good for at least 1, maybe 2 title defenses at 168, move up, let himself be a little healthier, and then see what he's capable of accomplishing at there. Granted that once he is at light heavy, that 6'3", 78 range goes from being massive to average.
Agree. But, if you look at what 175 pounds is, sort of turning into. Adonis Stevenson doesn't have that long for, I think, boxing, to be quite honest. I think he's going to retire in the next couple of years, probably. Badu Jack's probably the same boat. I don't see him lasting the next, 5 years in the sport. I think he retires soon. So you have Bivol, Beterbiev. I think Callum Smith does well against those guys. His sort of contemporaries and peers at that division if he were to move up. He may not be,
That's true.
He may not be as big as he is in that division, but let's be honest, Beterbiev and Bivol aren't, the greatest things on the planet. Callum Smith could beat those guys.
No, I definitely think he could too. And the irony of that too being is that a lot of them are actually barely hitting the 6-foot mark. Mm-hmm. So he would at that point actually still be carrying an advantage over them.
Yeah. And but do you think it should happen immediately, or do you think he can stay at this weight class for a fight or two and defend it?
A fight or two max. A fight or two max. Any longer, and I think he's causing some serious harm to his health.
It's unfortunate, though, because obviously, fights like David Benavidez and Gilberto Ramirez would be fantastic fights, but I think all those guys should move up. Like, just being honest. Those guys are cutting a lot of weight.
I think eventually a lot of them, especially the ones that are sharing the same statistics as Callum Smith, will eventually have to move up if they're not making that weight comfortably. And it'll be interesting to see what light heavy does turn out when the super middleweights move up, because there's a lot of good talent at super middleweight too.
I'm curious, did you see the Chris Eubank fight? Because I wasn't home till the main event. I was curious if you saw that fight.
I did see it. Honestly, I really don't have much to say. It was his first fight back. He looked okay. Got in there with a guy that he was supposed to beat. And really, I don't know what's next. Like, I want to see him with somebody a little bit better than what he had right now, because he kind of seems like he might be stagnating already.
I agree. Any final thoughts there, Santiago?
No, we finally have this, final super middleweight tournament over. We can move on to season 2 of it. And I know you're probably as hyped as I am to see Inoue back in action too on the zone. So get hyped for that. And other than that, kudos to Callum Smith. I will be calling in later on if you do have another show. But for now, take it easy, and I'll see you on the next show.
Thank you, Santiago. Hope you have a good one, and I'll see you on the next show. Enjoy Vegas, man. Before we head out to, I think it's Castle Hill Gill out in the tri-state area. Represent. Before we go to him, some people in the chat talking about the Eubank fight. Jonathan saying Eubank looked poor, slower, missing a lot of shots. Robisky saying, I saw it, Matt. The other guy quit. That's unfortunate. I really wish, he met his stardom. Like, he really does have that X factor, and he just doesn't combine it with his in-ring ability, unfortunately. But let's go to Castle Hill Gill. Even though you didn't press 1, I'm going to assume you mentally pressed 1 because you just called in. So, Gil, how you doing, man?
What's going on, Matt? I was actually listening in, but I'll get it in now since you went to me. And just wanted to talk a little bit about, I know this is news from a few days back, but wanted to talk about Wilder Fury being finalized and going to LA. That's pretty exciting for you guys.
Yeah, I know, like JP, Santiago, Info Joe, like all the guys, all the West Coast crew, they're all planning on going.
I know. And Fern, it's going to be good, man. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. I really, I'm not going to say no yet, but,
Did you see what the cheapest tickets were though? The cheapest tickets were $75. That's pretty good though. That means that's
really good.
That means the mid bowl tickets aren't going to be that much too. So that's for any fans out there wanting to go to this fight. It's probably going to be way more affordable than Las Vegas fights. It just will be.
I understand, and it's overdue. I haven't made it out to the West Coast yet, so I'm gonna sit down and crunch some numbers when I get home, and I'm gonna, I'll be in touch with the crew to let you guys, to give you something confirmed and in stone. But I'm excited as hell about that fight, man. I'm giving Fury more of a chance than most are, and I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna pick Fury. I'm going to, tap into my own.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
No, I'm actually a little clip. But no, seriously, Matt, I believe that he's got the boxing skill to make this really interesting and even upset Deontay. I know Deontay has the eraser, and Fury does get caught with that right hand every once in a while. But man, he really fights to the level of his competition, and I expect him to be, I know he had his trouble with cocaine and he's had his challenges, and looks like he's clean and he's fully ready to do this. And what I'm trying to say by that is that I expect him to be at the same level where he was when he fought Vlad Klitschko, and I expect it to be a hell of a fight. I expect him to upset Deontay and upset the apple cart and lay to waste a lot of this, who's ducking who talk that's been going around on both sides of the pond, So it's exciting, man. And who we got this weekend? We got George Groves against Callum Smith. I'm not familiar with Smith.
Yes, the fight already happened, by the way. Castle Hill Gill.
Oh, it was earlier today, huh?
Yes, it just ended.
Okay, you know what? I've got the zone. So when I get home, I'm actually on my commute. I'm gonna definitely check that out.
Yeah.
How about anything on the UFC that I should be aware of?
There is a massive Bellator card. It's not UFC. It's Bellator. Rampage Jackson, Vanderlei Silva is going to be fighting on the card. Rory McDonald's on the card. Who else? I think it's a pretty big one. That's on DAZN. That's on DAZN as well, or the Paramount Network on your TV. Both will have it. And I think there's another boxing fight this weekend. I think there's another boxing fight either tonight or tomorrow on ESPN. Oh, it's the Uzcategui card. Jose Uzcategui is fighting on ESPN Plus tonight.
Okay. So we got a ton of action. So
yes.
This MMA is going on tonight?
I believe it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
all right.
Tonight we have
with you as well.
Tonight we have Uzcategui, and I'm probably going to do a post-fight show for that one as well, just for anyone listening out there. Just because I'm a degenerate and I'll be watching it. Yes.
So are we. It's all right, Matt. It's not like, the rest of us aren't.
That's true.
We're addicts, and it's what we love. But I'm gonna leave you at that so that you can continue to talk and hopefully, if you got anybody else, they can get their turn. And look for me to be active this weekend, so I'll try to participate.
All right, thank you, Gil. Hope you have a good one out there. Stay safe. People are correcting me in the chat, saying it's Devin Haney fighting tonight on Showtime, and I think it's tomorrow's the ESPN Plus card. I will quickly look that up though for everyone listening, so I do not get that wrong. Because let's be honest, we're going to do more shows today or tomorrow. It's going to happen. No, today is the ESPN Plus card. Oh, we have two cards. Yes. Okay, so tonight we have double cards. One on Showtime, the Devin Haney and the Juan Carlos Borjos fight. Obviously, that is Devin Haney's first promotional event as well, that he is being the lead promoter, pulling that Mayweather move. And also tonight on ESPN Plus, Jose Uzcategui and Yurin Ancajas double feature, as well as Genesis Sovina and Joshua Greer Jr. If you want to sort of remember who Joshua Greer Jr. is, he's the guy that went viral for giving a guy a pillow at the weigh-in because he was going to put him to sleep. And then he did put him to sleep, I want to say. So for anyone out there that wants to know. And tomorrow, do we have any fights tomorrow? The Jorge Linares fight is tomorrow on Facebook Watch versus Abner Cotto. And then let me check quickly for the Bellator card so I don't get that wrong as well. And also, ladies and gentlemen, we will be live again tonight, obviously, after those two cards. Whenever the last one is done and wrapped up, we will do the immediate reaction show for both events. Robisky saying, Matt, when does Kit Kat fight again? He fights, I believe, in November against Iran Diaz on the One Championship card, which is an MMA promotion, but they're featuring him in a boxing fight, just for those that want to know. The Bellator card is tomorrow. So tomorrow will be the Bellator immediate reaction or live fight chat. I haven't decided yet. Tonight will be an immediate reaction show after the last fight is over on whether it's the Showtime or ESPN Plus card. Whichever one gets done last, that's when we will start. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I hope everyone had a great time watching the fights this morning. A little appetizer for obviously tonight and tomorrow. Stay safe out there. I know it's early still, and I hope for anyone that's listening, maybe in post after work, whatever it is on your commute, hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. If you listen on podcast from on iTunes, drop that review. If you haven't yet, shots at you. Come on. Despicable. Vile. The audacity. But anyways, Robisky and Matt, it's October 16th. It will be a huge weekend of fights. Oh, my bad. October 6th, not 16th, which is the Conor McGregor, Khabib Nurmagomedov pay-per-view, and obviously the Matchroom USA in the zone first card, so to speak. But anyways, hope everyone has a great day. Like I said, hit the like button on the way out. Share the show. You can find me at Matt Hunter MCR want to hear more things, talk, debate, boxing, MMA, hell, you know me, I even get into some politics. But anyways, like I said, have a good one. Peace.